Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 27 of What If Izuna Uchiha was Naruto Ancestor. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on social media platform, and also stay in tune because after this I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was from the two greatest clans over on Anime King. And also go ahead and check out the new episode on this channel of What If Naruto was a god amongst man, and I enjoyed that. And I also post a new episode of What If Naruto's a vampire, so go ahead and enjoy it as well guys. And over on Anime King I post a new episode of What If Naruto had multiple people sealed inside of him. I also post a new episode of What If Naruto was neglected by everyone, so go ahead and enjoy it as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
So, the last time we left off, Naruto was beyond pissed as he found out everything. All of them has been lying to him. As he found out everything about Ren, as he told Kurama that he will change his corrupted world. As Kurama realized Naruto is going down a dark path. As he told Naruto that he will stop him. But Naruto activated his Mangekyo Sharingan as the both of their eyes connected. As Kurama was using all of his willpower to fight Naruto. But Naruto was strong as Naruto said Amaterasu. As the black flames consumed half of Kurama's body. As he lost control for a second there, he lost his concentration as Naruto took him over. As Kurama is now under Naruto's control. Even though he cannot control his body, his mind is still there, as he could still talk and comment on what Naruto is seeing and saying to others. As he just wished that one day, Naruto will forgive him and they can become back friends. But right now, Naruto is going down a dark path. Naruto came back to Konoha, as Sasuke found him at the Uchiha compound, as he was at a grave, as Sasuke was surprised to see Naruto here. As Naruto brought Sasuke down to the stone tablet, as Sasuke had a plan to get rid of all shinobis, to stop all the war in this world, as Naruto told him that that plan is foolish. As Naruto told him his plan, as Sasuke was beyond shock, Naruto called his plan Valkyrie, as he whispered it to Sasuke, as Sasuke didn't believe that Naruto would go this far. But he pledged and told Naruto he will follow him to the bitter end, as that made Naruto happy. Meanwhile at the orphanage, Naruto came back on a crow, as Haku saw him, as he told her not now, as he then sent off 10 clones to do something. When he got in his quarters, he sat down as Naruto was tired, he was exhausted from controlling Kurama and everything. As he was holding everything together, but on the inside he was hurting. Ren's death really had a big effect on him. As he saw Pakon, Kakashi's dog, as the dog gave him a note. As Haku then came into the room, as she told Naruto she liked him. He might not have the same feelings for her that he does for Kunai, as he told her that he had strong feelings for her. And he might never have the same feelings for her, but she said that it didn't matter. She still loved him and she will do everything that it takes to help him achieve his goal. We then had a small time skip as Naruto went to talk to Nono and Tsunade, as Nono completed the eye, but it will take a couple of days, so once he put it in he has to rest. But he told her he will do it after he returned after his mission, as Tsunade completed the cure as well, so she could cure him of his sickness. As Naruto headed off with Haku, as both of them had to deal with a mission. As Karin, the letter that he read from Kakashi, it was from her, as she wanted to meet him at the bridge at that specific night, as Kakashi had told him everything in the letter. As Naruto came there, as he was on his crow, as him and Haku was in mid-air, as he saw thousands of guards from the Royal Guard Corps that Karin controlled. It seems like she wanted to kill him. As Naruto jumped down, as he told Haku, she will see the opening and she will know what to do. As Naruto landed on a tree and slid down. As he fires Senbons and then he sends Senbons Shadow Clone technique. As the Senbon multiply into 100, piercing a lot of them in their vital points as they drop to the ground. As the captain then sent archers as dozens of arrows fly towards Naruto. So yeah guys, that was basically last where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself, so let's begin this new episode, shall we? Fire! The archer said, as Naruto's Sharingan spotted a lot of deadly arrows flying towards him. The speed and precision of this attack was quite formidable. Just when the projectiles was about to hit his body, he performed another hand sign. Substitution technique. As he switched with a log, the log was ripped to pieces by all the arrows. As Naruto's sun shined on a large forest tree, as he looked at his enemies down there. It wouldn't be long before they locate his position, the sensors, and he would prefer to not use his Mangekyou or any large destructive power. He had an ulterior motive which had to be fulfilled from this battle. Even the 70-something ninja who he had hit were not dead but knocked out cold. With a plan forming in his mind, he crossed his fingers and created 7 shadow clones. As all of them had the same plan and they went to their respective positions. As all of them share a glance, including the original. As all of them went through the same set of hand signs. Water style, water bullet technique. The royal army suddenly found themselves targets by hundreds of sharp water bullets that were heading towards them. Reacting quickly to the incoming attack, the ninjas in the force quickly stepped forward and slammed their hand on the ground. Earth style, mud wall jutsu. As the mud wall stopped all of the water incoming attacks, the commander saw the 7 clones jumping towards the wall. Formation B, he said, as a lot of soldiers jump on top of the wall, the earth wall with kunais, spears and arrows, and shurikens, as they tossed them towards the clone. The enemies were quite surprised when a smirk appeared on the face of the clones. Great clone explosion! As all of the weapons were blown away as the clones exploded as the enemy was pushed off of the wall and collapsed on the ground. They then heard chirping birds as they saw the real Naruto with his hand. Lightning was cackling off of it as he ran right through the earth wall, destroying it. A few of the soldiers tried to move to stop him, but he waved his right hand in the air. Shidori Senbon! With his precise Sharingan, Naruto fired hundreds of Senbons created out of lightning towards the enemy at the front force. Due to the close range, many of them were hit in their chakra points as they collapsed to the ground. The few who tried to use his sword and their kunais as shield, they were quite surprised when the Shidori Senbon tear right through it and strike them in their chakra points. As he then slammed his hand on the ground, Shidori Current, as the ground was already soaking from the water bullet. As the commander and some of the others saw what he was about to do, as they jumped up in the air, as the ground was lit up with current, as a few that remained got shocked, as they went completely stiff while yelling in pain. As Naruto jumped back and stopped his attack, as they dropped like flies unconscious. As 250 soldiers were unconscious on the ground, as Naruto stood there. The remainder of Karen forces still have fear in their eyes, as they saw the man who single-handedly take out half of their forces in a matter of seconds. They have learned a very difficult lesson today, that numbers will not work against someone like him. The enemy commander was a tall man, having a large mustache. His dark brown hair was tied up in a ponytail. His large form combined with his samurai armor was enough to imitate a lot of people. But he felt himself losing a lot of confidence facing someone like this boy. He has stopped us from using any ninjutsu against him. The entire area is filled with my unconscious soldiers. If we attack, my man will get caught in the crossfire. I barely have any genjutsu users left. We can only engage him in close combat. Let's hope our overwhelming numbers will allow us a momentary advantage, the commander thought. His soldiers stiffened when he saw Naruto performing a hand sign. Water style, violent water wave. As Naruto used the moisture in the air to create a giant tidal wave of water. But instead of firing it at the forces, he shifted his aim and fired straight up in the air like a rising fountain. The attack flew straight up in the air as the enemies thought that he missed somehow as they were charging towards him, only if they knew that it was now over. With Haku, "You will know what to do when the time is right." Those words ring through her head as she went through hand sign using the newly formed water that Naruto has rose in the sky. "1,000 flying water needle of death," she said, as the water was converted into 1,000 needle of ice as she directed them downwards. Instantly, the ice needles rained down on the soldiers. At first, they started to block with their weapons, but they soon came to realize that it was too much. Before they could even reach within 20 feet of Naruto, the remaining army members were taken down. She had not wounded them lethally, but enough to make them bleed, and they all were unconscious, signaling the end of the fight. Even the enemy commander was hit by several senbon and was bleeding on the ground as Naruto walked towards him. As Haku lowered the crow to the ground, which was now covered with the entire wounded and unconscious soldiers, back with Naruto. Naruto was looking down at the enemy commander, who was glaring up at him. If looks could kill, Naruto would probably be reduced to a pile of ashes right now. "Naruto, you will pay for your crimes against our great nation," said the commander. "And who shall place this divine justice on me?" "Her Highness will lay you to waste," he said, as Naruto only smiled. "I don't see you anywhere. She has left you to die. I bet that she has watched this battle from afar, sitting in her comfortable chambers. All of you are just pawns who were used to gauge my real abilities. The real attack of Karen will come very soon," Naruto said. "Then our sacrifice won't be in vain. Enough. Kill us now. I'll see you in hell," the man said, as he watched Naruto's Sharingan start to change. As the man came face to face with Naruto Mangekyo Sharingan, as he realized Naruto's goal was to kill them. "You never intended to kill us from the very beginning. Your real goal was..." "World of darkness," Naruto said, cutting him off. Haku, who had watched the entire conversation from afar, watched as all resistance vanished on man's eyes. "You are to serve me for the rest of your life," Naruto said, as the commander bowed at his feet. "As you wish, Naruto-sama," he said. Haku could only watch as he moved on to the next soldier, and then the next, and then the next, and again. He was doing the same thing to every soldier, turning them into his puppets, his pawns. At first, Haku thought that he only wanted revenge against Konoha, but his action tonight showed that he wanted more than to destroy the village that wronged him. And this was just the beginning of all of this. Time skip. The next day, the morning light of the sun rays light up Haku's face. The cool breeze made her long hair flow freely in the air, as she was currently sitting on top of the crow, as her eyes were fixed on Naruto, who was in front of her. As his eyes were peacefully observing the beauty of nature around them. It had taken a couple of hours, but Naruto did all that he wanted, as he has taken command of the 500 soldiers. As Haku found it hard to believe that his eyes held such power in them. But she had also witnessed the soldiers who hated him, bowing down to him, swearing their life for his safety and ambitions. She knew it was wrong, but at the same time it was for his dream. "You have to find your own answer, Haku," said Naruto, breaking her from her thoughts. As she sighed, "Was this the reason why you brought me with you? To make me see your true plan?" she asked, as he just gave her a nod. "It was my intention, but simply enslaving soldiers was not my plan. It is something that will change this world forever. As a matter of fact, it will change the fate of humanity. You wanted to fight for me, that is why I show you the path that I am going to follow, and whether you're willing to do the same. And if I refuse, would you do the same thing for me as you did to those men?" she asked. "No, there are a few people in this world that I will never bend to my control. You are one of them, but I will wipe out the little information about my plan. And I'll simply let you live your own life," he said. "Is it the right thing to do?" Haku asked. "There is no right or wrong in this world. The only thing that is true in this world is wish." "Wish?" said Haku, confused. "My heart yearns for a future free of war, or at least a world where children are not turned into killing machines, where people are not taught to hate each other from the beginning of their life. And if that dream need me to do these things, then so be it." I don't care what people think about me, but Haku, my path is not for the weak. I cannot promise you a light at the end of the road because not even I know what fate awaits me, Naruto said. A smile came on her face as she saw his soft side, one that wished for the happiness of others before his own. This is the first time I've met someone like you, Haku said. Time skip. A few hours later with Kurenai, she was packing her clothes, as she was going through a lot. The man that she loved with her entire heart didn't love her anymore. She has tried to meet him since the past 2 days after their meeting, but he was on a mission. First by himself and then with Haku. Just the name of that teenage girl was enough to make Kurenai angry to the core. It was a fact that Naruto and her relationship was on rocky terms, and the girl has taken advantage of that weakness. Or maybe I was too hard on him, Kurenai thought. She was snapped out of her thoughts as the door of her room was unlocked, as she quickly grabbed the kunai from her pouch. Not 2 seconds later, the weapon fell down to the ground with a thud. Standing there was Naruto. His new attire, as his appearance, was certainly a surprise. An awkward silence was there as she stood her ground, not saying a word. Damn, this is really awkward, Naruto thought. Hi, he said, as she face palm on the floor hearing his silly greeting as a tick mark appeared on her head. What are you doing here? She asked, as she walked over to the couch and sat down. Haku said that you visit and you had something to say. So, he said. Oh, so you have time for little old me, or does Haku always keep you on a leash? She asked. It's not like that, Naruto said. I lied to you about Haku, about everything that day, said Naruto. Tell me something I don't know, she said. As he didn't say anything, as she sighed. Sit, she said, as he walked over and sat down. Not there, you idiot, as he was too far away. As he walked over and sat down on the couch. Why? She asked. I was getting close to Orochimaru. The day after I met you, I had to go and meet him. I am strong, but he was a Sanin. The stakes were too high, and I wasn't sure he would believe my cover story. There was a high possibility of me dying that day. As all of the anger vanished from her eyes, as she came over and held his hand. Have you done a master in stupidity? She asked, as Naruto pouted. As she chuckled. I was just looking out for you, he said. As Naruto found her laughing, it was soothing. How long has he seen her happy and smiling like this and laughing? It's been a very long time. After a few moments of laughing, you know, you didn't have to lie about being with Haku. That was a low blow, said Kurenai, as it still hurt her when she remembered what he said that day. As she placed her hand on his cheek, how long will you punish yourself for my sake? She asked. Punishment is the code of my life. We're like, polar, opposite, light and dark. After everything that happened in my life, it would be better if you had moved on when I died by Orochimaru's hands. If you were safe and sound from all of this mess, then it was good enough for me. Then what changed your mind? Asked Kurenai. After that meeting with Orochimaru, I remember the promise that I made to you in Wave. I promised to let you make your own decision and not bend your will. You're really tired, aren't you? She said, as the weight of all of this must really be weighing down on him. There is just no end to all of this. One thing keep on happening after another. Sometimes it made me wonder if there's any point to all my struggles. Maybe it would have been right if I died after eliminated Root. At least it would prevent me from doing any more sins, Naruto said, as she squeezed his hand. How can you talk like that? She said. I am not as strong as you, Kurenai, he said. So you can't live if you're not strong? Wrong. By living and continue to fight, we prove that we're strong. There is always light in an era of darkness, no matter how bleak the situation is. We should never lose hope, she said. You're too optimistic, he said. As his answer just made her angry, as she grabbed him by the cloak and lifted him. Instantly made in contact with his eyes, as her ruby eyes glared into them. Kurenai, he said. What the two didn't realize is that the couch wasn't able to take their new, shifted weight as it rolled over and collapsed with them. His hands quickly reached behind her head, protecting him from banging against the floor, while her arms snaked around him, preventing him from dropping hard and rolling away. Both of them ended up in a rather awkward position, with Naruto falling exactly on her, as their body was pressed against each other, as the both of them were staring in each other's eyes. Before things would get any awkward, he gave her a reassuring smile. "Kunai, there's something I need to say to you." "I also have something to say to you," she said, as she was unsure how he will take the tragic news she has brought for him. As Naruto was thinking, "Would you like to spend the day with me?" she said. "Just you and me, no missions or anything. Just the both of us spend the day together as normal people." "You're always so right," he said. "I just want us to be together. That's my only wish," she said. Kunai, a small slip of tear leaked from her eye as she placed her hand on his cheek. "I thought I wouldn't see you again, Naruto," she said, as he wiped away the tear, as his eyes were focused on her lips. As he moved forward, as the both of them smashed their lips against each other, as Kunai felt jolts of electricity from her body, as the both of them let go of all restraint and everything. All barriers were teared apart as the feeling of past love rekindled in their heart, as the both of them just let go and enjoy being with each other. Back at Konoha, Kakashi heard a knock on his door, as that was enough to get him out of bed. Although the woman beside him was certainly not happy when the source of heat went out of her arms, as he certainly feared that it was not a man dressed in a green jumpsuit. As he made himself presentable, when he arrived he saw it wasn't Guy, it was Sasuke. "Sasuke?" said Kakashi. "You need something?" said Kakashi, as he had to grab a pillow thrown by Anko. "Come back to bed," she said. "I'll be there soon," said Kakashi. "You need something?" asked Kakashi. "I'll make this simple so you can go back to her quickly. Where's Kunai?" asked Sasuke. As Kakashi's eyes narrowed a bit, Sasuke had seen that, so he knew where she was. "Why are you asking?" Kakashi said. "What do you need from her at this hour in the morning?" he said, as Sasuke merely shrugged. "I need her help with my genjutsu, seeing that she's the captain of our force, and my old team. I want her help. I wouldn't have bothered you guys if I knew where she was, but Kunai hasn't been at her home since the past few days. Is she on a mission? Because if she is, I will just ask the Hokage and not bother you guys any further," he said. "Maybe she went somewhere. You know the force is on standby since our mission to Wave. Maybe she took some time off. Don't worry, she will be back soon," he said. The 7-day window which he had arranged for Kunai will be ending today, and it wouldn't take long before people start to notice. She was a captain of the force and a newly minted hero in the eyes of the public. Questions were going to fly. "I see, I'll take my leave then. Sorry for disturbing you. See you later, Sasuke," said Kakashi with a eye smile, as he shut the door. "Kunai, you better get back soon enough," said Kakashi to himself. As soon as the door was shut, Sasuke vanished into a puff of smoke, showing that it was a shadow clone. Meanwhile, at the Uchiha compound, a tired sigh escaped from Sasuke's lips as he received the memory of the shadow clone. As he had seen, Naruto made several shadow clones and had copied the jutsu with his eyes, as he never thought it would be this useful. But he doesn't have the large chakra reserves, so he couldn't make that great amount. But right now his attention was only fixed on one thing, Kunai. He would have at least acknowledged that woman as someone who he could consider as a friend, but she would be sadly mistaken if she thinks that he will spare her if she comes in the way of the plan for Valkyrie. As a matter of fact, anyone who came in the way of Valkyrie will be dealt with. For their plan to succeed, he needed Naruto. He needed his friend's power. Naruto was the strongest one amongst them in terms of power, but he is easily vulnerable. If something connected with Kunai happened, he would be easily willing to give it all up to protect her. He had thought about this for days, and after the both of them pledged to make a new world, and now he came up to a final option. Kunai had to be put into the ground. She was the biggest threat to Valkyrie, as he didn't even trust the word that came out of Kakashi's mouth. Something bad was going on, he could feel it in the air, as he had a crossbow on his back, as he put on a black cloak, as he had a wild guess as to where she was right now. Meanwhile, back at the island, standing on the balcony with a cigarette, Naruto was smoking, as he had picked up this habit a long while back, as everything was just so smooth and calm, but the cigarette was flipped out of his mouth by a finger, as he then felt an embrace from the back. "You're not gonna let it be, are you?" Naruto asked. Nope, she said. Besides, smoking is harmful to you, she scolded. I'm a grown man. I can handle it. Anyway, the fox in my gut has it handled, said Naruto as he smirked. I'm not your goddamn servant, Kurama growled. But he then realized he was actually a slave right now, under Naruto's control. Kurenai simply shook her head. This was one of his habits she didn't like. So, what do you want to do today? Naruto asked. Maybe a romantic movie. There's a good one in the theaters this week. Sure, why not? Let's go for a romantic movie. Although he hated those things. She looked at him for a few seconds as she gave him a kiss. That's a spirit. I'll get ready, she said. You should too. As he gave her a nod. As soon as she went into the bathroom, he banged his head against the railing. He wanted to see the new Ichi Teacher Chronicles. Why was a wish so hard? As he remembered the old times when he go to watch a movie with Kakashi and a disguised Hiruzen. Time skip. A few hours later, coming out of the theater was Naruto and Kurenai. As she had a satisfied look on her face, she had snuggled up to Naruto the entire time while watching the movie. While Naruto had to do everything in his willpower to not get up and kill the writer who write that crap. As she noticed that. You didn't like it. It was so good, she asked. No, it was good, he lied, as she rolled her eyes. Come on, don't lie to me. What do you really think? Alright. You want me to tell you the truth? You call it a romantic story? The guy who the girl ended up with, they had no development. And the guy barely had any screen time during the entire movie. Sure, she loved him, but where was the romance in the entire movie? All the time he seemed interested in another girl, and then he flipped all of that in the end. Oh, calm down. It's all about true love, said Kurenai. So the girl feelings are the only thing that matter. What about the hero? He seemed in love with the other one. I don't understand the logic, Naruto said, the frown. It seems like you hated her, said Kurenai. I don't like her, but I don't hate her, Naruto said. I would have liked some build up to their relationship, instead of a flash. And you see them together with no explanation. That's lazy writing. Oh, coming from the big writer, she said, as she chuckled, as he smiled. I'm just glad you loved it. That was my consolation prize, Naruto said, as that made her very happy. As she kissed him on the cheek. They spent the rest of the day going to a rock concert, as Kurenai didn't like that so much. But if Naruto could bear a romantic move with her, she could do the same for him. But she had to admit that was terrible. There was so many loud music. And she didn't like this kind of music, and it went on for 2 hours. But Naruto enjoyed it a lot. 2 hours later, Naruto was running from a furious Kurenai as her hair was a mess. Her makeup was all messed up, so many damn people, as she was throwing many things off of him as they were running through the streets and the alley. As he had picked her up and accidentally dropped her on her ass, as she told him that it was really hurting and that made her even more upset. Kurenai, calm down, I'll massage your ass for you, he said. When he turned back around, he saw this time Kurenai was accompanied by a group of women as all of them were chasing after him. As Naruto saw them coming, he decided to do the unexpected as he stopped and turned, his hands raised up. I surrender. Hey, isn't that the guy who published those Ichi books in movies? Naruto asked, as all of the girls saw him, as they turned their wrath on him and started chasing him down. I'm awesome, said Naruto, but he then froze when Kurenai grabbed his ear. Damn it, I forgot about her. As Kurama was chuckling all the way. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the island, standing on a very tall column was a man dressed in a black cloak with a crossbow on his back. His Mangekyou searching for his target. It's time to end this, Sasuke said. Sometime later with Naruto, he was taking a shower as he was thinking long and hard about Valkyrie. Whether to make Kurenai a part of the plan or to distance himself away from her. When he talked to Haku, she told him to follow his heart and make Kurenai make a choice between him and Konoha, while Sasuke had told him to strictly follow his mind and cast Kurenai aside. But at least he still has some time to make up his decision. Time skip. Kurenai and Naruto was sitting in a fancy restaurant. As Kurenai was looking around, from what she had heard, this was one of the most expensive places on the island and it was really hard to book a table, as it made her so happy to see how much Naruto cared about her. As everything finally seemed normal between them, like they were actually a real couple, they spent the entire day together chilling out and enjoying the movie, and then there was that dreadful concert, she thought. But at least, the both of them were happy. But she knew not everything was happy. There was something was on Naruto's mind. He tried to talk to her about it yesterday, but he did not go through with it. So, what would you like to eat? Asked Kunai, but he offered her the menu instead. Remember, this is my treat, so order whatever you want. I will go with your choice, said Naruto. As she just giggled. What's so funny? Naruto asked. Oh, I just thought that you would order ramen like you always do. It's quite surprising, she said. I'm not that naive anymore, Tsunade. Being your Nono and Tsunade has taught me a few lessons on how to treat women, he said. I'm happy to hear that, but, she said, as she reached down into the small bag that she was carrying. He had seen her cast against Jutsu when they sat down. Seeing that they were already disguised, he asked her why did she do that, but she just told him he will see when the time is right. As his eyes nearly popped out of their socket when he saw her taking out 2 miso ramen cup stamped with Ichiraku ramen. As he looked at her, as she saw tears welling up in his eyes. I thought you would like to eat your favorite dish. The old man and his daughter miss you a lot, she said, as he lowered her head, as she lifted his chin with her finger. Thank you, he said, as a tear slipped from his eye. Huh? What are you crying for? I just brought some Ichiraku ramen, that's all, she said, gently massaging his cheek. It's not just ramen, you always remember and take care of my wishes. It's hard to explain, and it may seem trivial to you, but what you do for someone like me, who has been alienated from society. These are the things that you do for me, gives meaning to my life and make me wish for tomorrow, he said. To wake up by your side in the morning and watch the sun rise in the sky, he said, as she started to blush, as she looked into his eyes. I am simply doing the same things you did for me when I was broken. Alone, we are incomplete, but together I feel we're living in an entirely different world. A world where I am happy and in peace. Can we always stay like this, Naruto? Kunai asked. Before he could answer, the waiter interrupted as he placed their dishes on the table with a smile. With the moment interrupted, he placed attention to the food and ate like he was rather hungry. As she started to eat as well, as he released a sigh of relief. So, how are things back in Konoha? Naruto asked. Nothing much. Anko has moved in with Kakashi. Sakura became Shizune's apprentice. Kakashi and Asuma are actually working hard for once and making a change in their team and making them practice more and more, she said. Whoa, Anko moved in with Kakashi? Sakura became someone's apprentice? And Kakashi is actually working? What the hell? Naruto yelled in shock. Fortunately, the genjutsu that they placed on the table prevented the other customers from getting annoyed by him. I know it's hard to believe, but everyone is doing their best to move on ever since Choji died. As the spoon dropped out of his hand and hit the table. As Kurenai looked up, as she realized he didn't know. Choji, how, what? As Naruto stammered, as he couldn't even find words. How could this have happened? To think Choji is one of his friends. And he died? When? No. I am sorry. I didn't know that you didn't. Naruto slammed his hand on the table, cutting her off. Is it true or not? Answer me, Kurenai. I am sorry, Naruto, but Choji was killed in action, along with many other Konoha shinobis in the wave invasion. As Naruto's eyes simply shifted, all of that happiness he had, all of it went away. It happened again. As he clenched his fists tightly. I couldn't protect another one of my friends. I took this mission to save their life. To provide valuable intel, I sabotaged the enemy so that my friends and loved ones couldn't die. And yet, as Kurenai came over and caressed his cheek. Hiruzen didn't tell you about this, she asked. No, he never told me anything about the village, unless I asked him, as she grit her teeth in anger. Her dislike for the third Hokage just went up another notch. How much had he liked Naruto? How much more information was being kept from him? Choji had been one of Naruto's good friends, and Hiruzen should at least tell him about his demise. As she watched Naruto Mangita's Sharingan flashed dangerously as she was pulled into a memory. But guys, me end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notifications stay posted. Remember, share all of your friends in social media platform, and also stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now guys, I'm out of here. See you guys over at Anime King 2. And remember to click that red subscribe button if you're new and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support guys. And remember to comment down below and tell me. And also go ahead and check out What If Naruto is a God Amongst Man and What If Naruto is a Vampire. And I also post a new episode of What If Naruto had multiple people inside of him over on Anime King. And I also posted What If Naruto was neglected by everyone. So go ahead and check out that, and later on I'm going to be posting What If Naruto was from the two greatest clans. So stay in tune for that, and I hope you guys enjoy. But for now, I'm out. Peace.